This is the Ramana Maharshi satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm not a guru or a teacher. I just love this teaching and so want to share it. I'm reading and commenting on the Avadhuta Gita. Continuing this week, I'm reading from chapter 1, verses 20 through 26. Verse 20, all the Shrutis speak of Atman as without attributes, ever pure, imperishable, without a body, the eternal truth. That know to be yourself. 21. Know all forms, physical and subtle, as illusion. The reality underlying them is eternal. By living this truth, one passes beyond birth and death. 22. The sages call Atman the ever same. By giving up attachment, the mind sees neither duality nor unity. 23. Concentration is not possible either on perishable objects on account of their mutability, nor on Atman. Is and is not do not apply to Atman either. In Atman, freedom absolute, how is samadhi, the state of inner union, possible? 24. Birthless, pure, bodiless, equable, imperishable Atman, you knowest yourself to be. How then canst you say, I know Atman, or I know not Atman? 25. Thus has the Shruti spoken of Atman, that you are. Of the illusory world, born of the 5 physical elements, the Shruti says, neti, neti, not this, not this. Verse 26. All this is ever pervaded by you as Atman. In you is neither the meditator nor the object of meditation. Why, mind, do you shamelessly meditate? Here is explanation of these Avadhuta Gita verses from the perspective of Ramana Maharshi. Verse 20, all the Shrutis speak of Atman without attributes, ever pure, imperishable, without a body, the eternal truth, that know to be yourself. In this verse, the Avadhuta confirms the nature of the Atman, the true self, your self, as described in the ancient scriptures, the Shrutis. The Atman is described as attributeless, eternally pure, indestructible, and devoid of a physical body. Atman is the same as the vast and absolute Brahman. Atman is Brahman. You are Atman. Atman is the eternal truth that underlies all existence. Ramana Maharshi's whole teaching is about realizing this truth by turning inward and directly experiencing the Atman as your own true nature. What within you is attributeless, eternally pure, indestructible, and devoid of a physical body. Inquire. Verse 21. Know all forms, physical and subtle, as illusion. The reality underlying them is eternal. By living this truth, one passes beyond birth and death. This verse advises seeing through the illusion of forms, both physical and subtle, and recognizing the eternal reality that lies beyond them. Forms are an illusion because they are transient, while the reality of which you are always exists. By living in alignment with this truth, you transcend the idea of birth and death. Ramana teaches that by investigating the nature of your existence and discerning the transient from the eternal, you can realize the self that is beyond all forms and phenomena. Verse 22. The sages call Atman the ever-same. By giving up attachment, the mind sees neither duality nor unity. Here, Atman is described as the ever-same, indicating its unchanging nature. By relinquishing attachment to the transient world, the mind transcends the perceptions of duality and unity. Ramana teaches that through self-inquiry and detachment, the mind attains a state of equanimity where it perceives the underlying unity of all existence as yourself. Yourself is neither dual nor non-dual. It just exists, and that you are. Verse 23. Concentration is not possible either on perishable objects on account of their mutability, nor on Atman. Is and is not do not apply to Atman either. In Atman, freedom absolute, how is samadhi, the state of inner union, possible? This verse explores the challenge and paradox of concentration, either on transient objects of the world or on the changeless self. The mind cannot have steady concentration since it changes states, like from waking to deep sleep, and the mind is not active in all states. And the mind cannot concentrate on the imperishable Atman, the self, because the mind does not and cannot know the self. The self is beyond the mind. The mind is within the self, not the other way around. Ramana teaches that true concentration arises naturally when the mind abides in the pure awareness of the self, free from all conceptual limitations. This kind of concentration is also called absorption. Abidance is direct and continuing experience of being. Verse 24, birthless, pure, bodiless, equable, imperishable Atman, you knowest yourself to be. How then canst you say, I know Atman, or I do not know Atman? This verse questions the notion of knowing the birthless, pure, bodiless, and imperishable Atman. How can one claim to know or not know something that is your very essence? Ramana teaches that the Absolute is not an object of knowledge, but the very subject itself, and therefore cannot be grasped as an object of perception. Atman is the knower, not anything known or that can be known. Verse 25, thus has the Shrutis spoken of Atman, that you are. Of the illusory world, born of the five physical elements, the Shruti says, neti, neti, not this, not this. The Shruti declares that you are, referring to the Atman as the ultimate reality. The illusory world, born of the physical elements, is declared as neti, neti, not this, not this. Ramana Maharshi teaches that through discrimination, viveka, you can discern the eternal self from the transient world of appearances. If it is known by you, if it had a beginning or an end, if it had a cause, then it is not you and should be dismissed. These are positive and negative practices. One confirms what you are, the other negates what you are not. Verse 26, all this is ever pervaded by you as Atman. In you is neither the meditator nor the object of meditation. Why, mind, do you shamelessly meditate? Atman pervades all existence. Atman is all existence, and there is neither the separate meditator nor the object of meditation within it. They are Atman, not two. The mind, therefore, is urged to cease its fruitless attempts at meditation, as the ultimate reality is already present within. Ramana Maharshi teaches that true meditation is the silence abidance in the self, beyond the movements of the mind. These verses from the Avadhuta Gita emphasize the timeless nature of the Atman, the the ultimate reality, which is beyond attributes, names, and forms. Through self-inquiry and discrimination, you can transcend the illusion of the phenomenal world and abide in the eternal truth of the self, realizing the unity underlying all existence. So know that reality that you always are, and inquire, know yourself, and be always free and at peace. And now we have a video from Nome, Eternal and Real.
That which is real is eternal. Aspire to realize the eternal. What is eternal? Whatever appears disappears. And between those 2 points in time is actually completely unreal. That is, if it has a beginning and if it has an end, it did not truly exist in the middle. What is eternal? It must be changeless, for we perceive all changeful things come to an end. What is changeless and eternal? Discern, discriminate, and regard only the eternal as real, and consequently only the eternal as yourself. The eternal self cannot possibly be a body. And the realization of the eternal self does not depend on anything bodily. It has no bodily characteristics. It has no bodily location. Regard only the unchanging, eternal as yourself and not the body. What is eternal? Is there a thought that is eternal? Inasmuch as thought always pertains to what is objective, it cannot be eternal. So, aspiring to realize the eternal, do not depend on thought or any mode of mind. The ever-existent is the eternal, without beginning, interruption, or end. What is ever-existent? Existence itself never ceases to exist. It is nameless, formless, imperceptible, and inconceivable. Strive to realize the eternal. Know that only the eternal is yourself. If you regard only the eternal as the self, as the reality, you will abide free of all attachment and misidentification. What is eternal is ever existent. So the self is not something to be attained anew. It is not something waiting to be produced. It does not require a transformation of any kind. It already is. The unreal has no existence. The reality ever is. As for the apparent individual who does not realize this, that is not you. That is most certainly not eternal. It is rather a momentary hallucination, a transient figment of imagination. Only the eternal is you. Only the eternal is real. If in this manner you discern the eternal real self, your happiness endures forever. As the eternal, you are quite free. As the eternal, your very nature is liberation. As the eternal, your peace is unending and perfectly full.
All right. And now let's take a few minutes to inquire. Notice that you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist. Inquire, investigate within yourself. What within you is attributeless, eternally pure, indestructible, and devoid of a physical body? What is always within you? What is always is never more and never less. What is this within you? How can you transcend the limitations of mental knowledge and directly realize the birthless and pure nature of the Atman, the Self? How can you transcend the dualistic perception of meditator and object of meditation and abide in the formless awareness of the self? Who am I? What is the nature of my existence? What is real? What is just transient experience? with our chant. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. All right, comments or discussions?
All pointing to what is so good to go within, attend to the self.
Yes, yes. It's still funny that we speak of returning to the self as if we somehow left.
Yeah, no, I mean turning. Yeah, instead of turning,
Right.
turning
Yes.
back in. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's so easy, instead of actually turning within, to think about turning within. And it's not the same.
Indeed.
In one of the morning episodes that I did recently on Talk, Ramana was actually kind of berating Mr. Cohen and saying, you know, how come you don't do what I tell you to do and go within? Instead, you're asking these questions about things like, can you meditate in a dream? This is all just kind of intellectual, mental play, and this is what you're doing instead of doing what I told you to do.
Yeah, that's his whole message. To go within.
Uh-huh.
Go within.
Now, one thing that I got done today that maybe you'll be able to see more of in a few days is I then finally posted the first book on Amazon Books, the Who Am I with comments that I've used for about 20 years, and did a final careful revision, and now soon you can get it from Amazon either as an ebook or a print book.
Oh, wow, wonderful, wonderful.
And I'm happy with this stuff. You know, I'm getting older, and I feel like if I put this stuff on Amazon, then it'll be there even after I'm not.
But you will be.
You're not going anywhere.
That's right.
Well, that's right. That's right. Ramana said that. Anyway, very good to be with you again, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.
Good inquiry. These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment.